Christmas has always been a hard time for me. Childhood memories of bickering relatives, drunken tirades, and hostile dinner conversations made me wince at the mere mention of the holiday. In the Christmas of 1989, I broke my collarbone on my brand new toboggan. In the Christmas of 1997, my brother drove the family car straight into a lamppost, and in the Christmas of 2000, my grandmother set the kitchen ablaze while attempting to cook a turkey. But it wasn't until the Christmas of 2008 that a real tragedy occurred. Jennifer and I met in the fall of 2000, engaged in the winter of 2004, and married in the summer of 2006. She gave birth to our son, Noah, in the spring of 2008. This was our first Christmas together as a family. It was a beautiful new model home in a quiet neighborhood in a peaceful little town. It was just a few days before Christmas when he broke in. I was staying late at the office before locking up for the holidays. He didn't take anything. He didn't move a single thing out of place. He just walked right upstairs and went after her. The police called it the most senseless and animalistic act they had ever seen. And somehow, with her blood painted on the walls, they still never managed to find the monster who did it. And I would never know why it happened. This year was going to be a new start for us. Despite the Scrooge-like demeanor I developed every year at this time, Noah loved Christmas. At almost 8 years old, he didn't have much to say, but everything he did say had to do with stories of Santa, elves, and the reindeer. The little scoundrel was a better sleuth than he was a conversationalist. Last year he managed to find his Christmas presents behind my tool bench in the garage, but this year his presents were going to be in the attic where I knew he couldn't get to them. The mid-century home was purchased after Jennifer's passing and had much older, antiqued attic stairs than our old home did. I had just finished packing the Christmas presents in that dusty old attic when I realized it was time for his school bus to be dropping him off. As I pushed the heavy attic staircase up, I had a smirk of satisfaction. That child was not making his way up those steps. It was December 11th. Christmas Day was still 2 weeks away. My parents weren't arriving until the 18th. The holiday shopping was done, and school was now out until January. Noah and I were going to have a few days of holiday bonding all to ourselves. This might have been the first Christmas in many years that I would truly get to enjoy. 5 nights ago, Noah stayed up a little later watching holiday specials on television. He went to sleep around 8:30 and I went to bed shortly thereafter. It wasn't until 11 o'clock when I first heard those light footsteps scattering across the hall. I suddenly became alert as the footsteps stopped at my door. I sat up as the door slowly began to creak open. It was Noah. I was put at ease at the sight of him, but a little alarmed that he was up this late. He never stayed up past 9. Let alone wander into my room at this time. Noah, what are you doing out of bed this late? Dad? Do you believe in Santa Claus? What? Well, do you? I was a little taken off guard by the question, but I decided to put his mind at ease. Yeah, of course I believe in Santa Claus. Why do you ask? Okay, that's good. Because he needs to know that we believe in him. Yeah, I know, Noah. Now go back to bed, okay? He smiled before closing the door. I heard his footsteps scattering back down the hall to his bedroom as quickly as I drifted off to sleep. 4 nights ago, Noah and I were making Christmas cards for the relatives who would be arriving in the following days. We had construction paper, glitter, scissors, and glue. It was quite a messy scene, but I thought he deserved to have a little fun on his first day of vacation. After finishing up the cards, I began to gather them all up and look them over with Noah. There's one for Grandma, and Grandpa, and one for Uncle John, and... I paused at the sight of the card that was addressed to no one in the family. Who is this card for, Noah? It's for Santa Claus. He would be really happy if we made him a card too. I smirked at Noah's thoughtfulness and added it to the pile. Later that night, I was awoken by a crashing noise. Suddenly, I heard the footsteps sputtering towards my room again, this time with more urgency. Noah, this is the second night in a row. You still believe in Santa Claus, right, Dad? Yes, I already told you that. Okay. I just don't think Santa Claus knows that. But thanks. Noah, what was that crashing noise I just heard? Noah shrugged his shoulders in ignorance and scurried back to his bedroom. I was too tired to argue with him. I was probably just imagining it anyway. I drifted right back to sleep. 3 nights ago, I was sitting in front of the television watching a football game while Noah was drawing with his crayons beside me. During breaks, I became increasingly curious as to what he was drawing, and when he left the room, I picked it up and realized it wasn't a drawing. It was a list. Hey, Noah, is this your list to Santa Claus? Yeah, Santa told me I have to write him one. Do you think you can mail it to him on time? No, I can just leave it here. He already knows what I want because he's magic. I nodded at that flawless logic and handed it back to him. Later that night, I heard the scurrying of footsteps across the hall again. I was growing impatient with Noah's sleep cycle, but I was awake reading at this time anyway. He didn't come into my room that night. He just stood in front of the door for a moment and ran back to his room. 2 nights ago, I decided to sit down with Noah and ask him about his late night wandering. He suddenly became nervous when I asked, but he finally uttered that he was waiting for Santa to come with his sleigh and reindeer. I couldn't help but smile at this. Santa won't be coming until Christmas, though, Noah. We have a few more days to wait. He seemingly brushed my statement off and made an odd request. Can we just leave him some milk and cookies for when he gets hungry? I wasn't going to argue with him. I just made him a deal. Alright, but if we do, you have to promise to stay in your bed until bedtime, okay? He nodded excitingly, but he didn't seem as happy about Santa's arrival as he did a few days ago. I guess that he was getting burnt out from waiting so long. Later that night, the scurrying of footsteps began again. At first they were faint, but then they headed straight to my room. I was a little more upset at this point as my door opened. Noah, I thought I told you to stay in bed. He came, Dad. He came and ate them. What? The milk and cookies! Santa came! I marched downstairs, and I had to admit, I was surprised to see the milk and cookies all gone. But this wasn't a difficult trick to pull off either. I was done with this game. Noah, Santa isn't coming till next week, and if you keep making up stories and getting out of bed, he's not coming at all. Do you understand? Noah's face turned to tears as he ran back up to his room and shut the door. I didn't want to be so mean, but there was only so much foolishness I could take at this time. Last night, things got really weird. Noah didn't speak to me for most of the day. I finally apologized and told him I was just trying to get him to stop making up stories. He seemed to be focusing elsewhere, though. I didn't like the disrespectful attitude he was developing. Would you like to tell the truth about who ate the milk and cookies last night? He pouted at me with an angry look and ran back up to his room and came back with a folded piece of construction paper. I thought this was his apology. That was until he spoke. This card is from Santa. He told me to give it to you. I finally lost it. I took the card and crumbled it up without even bothering to read it. I threw it right into the trash bin, right in front of Noah. Noah, I don't know what's gotten into you, but Christmas is going to be canceled if you don't stop with these stupid little games. What do you want from me? I want my mom and dad to be back together. He once again rushed off to his room in tears. I felt guilty for managing to make him cry twice in 2 days. We never really talked about his mother. He had every right to be upset, now that he was older and beginning to understand her absence. I let him cool down for a while. I decided to let him sleep in my room for both comfort and to keep an eye on him. It wasn't until 11 o'clock last night that he woke up once again. Dad, it's time. I was angry at being awoken at this hour again, but decided to be patient with Noah. Time for what, Noah? Santa has a surprise for us waiting downstairs. I was beginning to get nervous at Noah's delusions, but I finally decided to play along. Noah dragged me downstairs and into the living room. When I saw it for myself, I became quickly scared for a different reason. The tree was lit up, and all the presents from the attic were laid around. Noah, how did you get these down here? I didn't do it, Dad. Santa did. The hairs on my back began to stand on end. There was no way Noah could have lifted all these gifts, or even gotten into the attic to find them. And how did Santa get in the attic to get them? Noah turned to me and meekly replied, "He's been living there all week, Dad. He made me promise to keep it a secret." My jaw dropped as I tried to remain cool. "Is Santa still in the house?" Noah paused for a minute before answering. "No, he said to have to leave before you found your surprise, and after you read his letter." My breathing came heavy as I started to panic in fear. I rushed across the house towards the wastebasket, pulled out the crumpled letter I had thrown away, and opened it. At the front of the card, written in eloquent handwriting, "All you want for Christmas." I slowly opened the letter. I almost burst into tears at the sight of it. It was a picture of Jennifer and me, taken days before her death. Written in blood across the picture was, "Together again, soon." My hands were shaking. I couldn't even move. He was back, and he was going to finish what he started. On the back of this card, there was no blood, there was no anonymous message. There was just one simple little line. Ho, ho, ho.